Imagine taking your generosity to the next level, impacting more lives and leaving a godly legacy for generations to come. Get ideas and strategies to do just that when you listen to these personal stories from high-level kingdom champions. The Kingdom Investor Podcast showcases business leaders who have moved from success to significance, sharing how they use worldly wealth for kingdom impact. Discover how they grew in generosity, impacted more lives, and built godly legacies. You'll find motivation, inspiration, and practical steps to grow as a kingdom investor.
Hello, and welcome to the Kingdom Investor Podcast. My name is Daniel White, and I'm going to be your main host for this show. My co-host, David Clinton, will be joining us whenever he is available. We are so excited to help you take your generosity to the next level, impact more lives in your community and around the world, and leave a godly legacy for generations to come.
Hey, Daniel, thanks for having me on the podcast. What made you want to start this?
Well, honestly, it was a defining moment in my life when Alan Barnhart spoke in Lexington, Kentucky. And he's a successful business owner from Tennessee who shared his story about how he uses his business to advance God's kingdom. And from that moment, I thought about how to share these stories with other people.
Awesome. Hey, it is Daniel, Daniel and I have both met many amazing kingdom-minded business leaders and have been impacted by their stories. We've had a desire to share those stories with others and highlight what God is doing around the world through these kingdom champions.
That's right, David. And now this podcast makes it possible for you, our listeners, to hear these inspiring stories as we interview these leaders. Many have been very successful in business and have leveraged their success for a greater purpose. They now champion the cause of Christ and have found more meaning and greater joy building God's kingdom rather than building their own.
Our hope is this: to inspire and equip you as business owners and leaders to invest your time, talents, and treasure in God's kingdom, faithfully stewarding all God has given you for the greatest kingdom impact. Daniel, would you share a little bit about yourself and your story?
Absolutely. I would love to. So God's really had his hand on my life from the very beginning, miraculously saving my life as a baby, blessing me with amazing godly parents, and opening my eyes to the truth of the gospel at a very young age. I came into a personal relationship with God through Jesus, and he's been working on my heart to fully surrender all areas of my life to him so that he can accomplish his ultimate purpose in my life. And honestly, it's been an amazing story so far.
I'm looking forward to hearing more. Where did you start out in life, and how does that lead to where you are today?
Well, I grew up in a small town in Kentucky, and I got this awesome opportunity to start my first business when I was about 17. And after I started that business, I learned a lot about entrepreneurship and running a business. And then all of a sudden, God called me to missions for a season. And I just obeyed. And through that, he showed me how difficult it was for missionaries to raise support. And really, I guess, how broken the current mission funding model was. And he showed me and kind of put a passion in my life to use business and the skills I learned from that to create a new model to fund missions.
Cool. That's exciting.
Yeah. So I am now working on creating a better model to fund missions, and it kind of uses passive income from real estate investments and effectively creates perpetual giving engines.
Neat.
So I am currently living in Lexington, Kentucky with my wife and our 2 kids. And God's really given us a passion to seek first his kingdom and honestly to see the Great Commission completed in our lifetime. That's really our vision. And we strive to do everything we can to advance the Great Commission and God's kingdom, to join him in the work that he's doing to redeem the world and change lives in our community and around the world.
Oh, that's amazing.
Hey, David, would you share a little bit about your story and what really excites you about launching this podcast?
Certainly. I was raised in Southern California, which I like to say is a good place to be from. Jesus saved me from my sin at the age of 20 while attending Biola University. That's the Bible Institute of Los Angeles. As a matter of fact, the requirement for admission to Biola is that you are already a Christian and have a testimony. And I thought I did, honestly. But looking back, I don't believe that God really changed my heart until I was a couple of years in. My wife of 12 years and I live in the beautiful city of Coeur d'Alene, North Idaho. And we got 3 kids, ages 11, 9, and 7.
Yeah, and I'm excited to come out and visit you out there. I hear it's very beautiful.
Absolutely.
So, David, would you share a little bit about what you're doing and really kind of what you're passionate about right now?
Yeah, my passion is to see worldly resources used for kingdom impact as I champion the Great Commission, the Great Commandment, and the creation mandate. My role in that is to awaken in Christians the joy and the freedom of being generous and removing the barriers that hinder cheerful giving. I found that a lot of the barriers people have can be boiled to down to just a few. Very commonly, I see people struggle with a mindset of scarcity. In light of our abundantly generous God, we tend to hoard and keep everything, for ourselves instead of sharing with others. Other struggles and barriers to giving generously and cheerfully are feeling overwhelmed with the who, what, why, the how strategy of giving, and also a lack of clarity regarding the issues about which givers care the most. So I'm a charitable giving coach with the Find Me Faithful Foundation. We host Journey of Generosity retreats. We teach biblical finance courses, network with faith-based organizations, and help accredited givers maximize their joy in giving. I'm excited to be part of this podcast because its mission fits right in line with my own, to inspire and equip business owners to invest their time, talents, and treasures in God's kingdom.
David, thanks so much for sharing about that. I'm so excited about what you're doing and how God's going to use that. So it's really neat how we were connected and how God brought us together to even start this podcast. And we are going to be dropping about 2 episodes per week for you guys to listen to. And if you have any questions or anything that you want us to ask our guests, we would love to hear that. And if there's any specific topics that you want us to cover, you can send those in too. My email is Daniel@thekingdominvestor.com, or you can reach out to David at thekingdominvestor.com.
Daniel, how can our listeners be part of what we're doing here?
That's a great question. We would love your help, and we can really reach more people and impact more lives if you write a review, if you share this show, and if you write a rating or leave a rating.
All right.
So thank you guys for listening to this and for your time. We really hope this show blesses you, and then you can be a blessing to others.
Thanks for listening. See you next time.